How you guys doing tonight? This is Rashad from the Black Guys Guide to Movies, actually doing my first official entry. The movie that I just watched was Rachel Weisz in The Whistleblower. She actually plays a police officer from Nebraska who goes over to post-war Bosnia to help with the peacekeeping mission over there with the UN. During her trip there and during her work there, she finds out that there's actually sex trafficking going on with young females over there who don't have a voice to speak up for themselves. And she soon finds out that it's actually involving local officials, members of the UN, as well as the police security forces who are trained to actually protect these women. I thought it was a very fascinating film. I'll just give you a little insight on my thoughts on it. One of the more interesting aspects of it is that often movies that are portraying sex trafficking are always delicate films because oftentimes those give voices to people who wouldn't otherwise have those types of voices. So it's hard to necessarily be critical of a film that has such a noble cause. But I think that being said, there were some aspects of the film that I liked, and there were some aspects of the films that I thought they could have improved upon, even if the message was actually a story that needed to be told. And it was good that for something that I wasn't really educated on to begin with, that I got a chance to be exposed to. So let's just talk about a little bit of the synopsis here. For instance, when she's actually over in Bosnia, you get a chance to view some different ethnicities that you may or may not be accustomed to knowing. There's Croatian, there's Bosnian. So it was nice to see the interaction of them being somewhat respectful of the fact that there are different cultures in the area. And one of the challenges is that to be accurate of the situation that took place. Now, without knowing too much backstory on that situation, I'm going to assume that they did a little bit of Hollywood items on here and tried to stay true to it somewhat, at least of the circumstances at hand. Rachel Weisz, always a phenomenal actress. I absolutely loved her in The Constant Gardener, and she ages wonderfully, by the way. Actually, it's kind of amazing that she got her first American exposure in the Mummy movies, but that's a different time for a different day. On the merits of the film, I thought the acting was pretty well done. One of the things I'm critical about a bit would be the transition from when she was actually a police officer in Nebraska to when they transitioned her over in Europe as a UN peacekeeper. I thought that story was transitioned a little too quickly, and it seemed a little too cookie cutter that one day she just decides to just hop on a plane and leave her family and her daughter and her personal life for another country she's never visited. I thought that the very beginning of the film was a bit rushed in that aspect of it. So I think that they did a bit of a disservice to the background of this woman from that aspect to find out from where her police work took her to where she actually made the transition to over to Bosnia. I thought that the film itself was filmed very well. The sequences of tension were very well made, and the villains that they actually portrayed, these awful human beings who sex trafficked these women, showed the typical kind of characteristics you would expect in some sort of these films. They had no ounce of humanity. They were very cruel, and they were portrayed as people who took advantage of vulnerable people. The women were put in positions that you wouldn't want anybody to be put in. So as far as the quality of the film, I appreciated that it was well made. It gave a good aspect of a life that a lot of people, unfortunately, only hear about, on a Friday night news or on CNN. But seeing it in film and seeing how people are trying to address this particular issue, I think it was a very well-made film, although, it had a little bit of warts on it from time to time. And I think that if it had been a documentary, I think it would have been a little bit more effective of a film. Now, how I grade my films on the Black Guys Guide to Movies is going to be on a do-rag scale. And you may not like that, but that's what I'm going to do. So on a scale of 1 to 4 do-rags, I give The Whistleblower 3 do-rags. This is my first entry, The Whistleblower. You'll see more entries from me. This is Rashad. Thank you for taking time out to listen to me.